Are we all alive? Let me check my pulse. Yeah, there's something there.
It's moving.
Alrighty. So here we are. First order of business. Welcome, gentlemen. I imagine you're wondering why I've gathered you here today.
Hello. Yo, and hello even.
I have with me my good friend Koover and my good friend Kojac, and we're here to talk about our first fighting game experiences. When the hell did we even start playing fighting games? When did this shit start?
A long time ago in a state not so far away.
Yeah, you started in Ohio.
I looked at my Steam purchase history, and I can go back to the exact day I purchased Mortal Kombat 9 for $5 in 2015.
Oh my god, that's accurate. You have a level of accuracy I don't think I can match.
I must have seen it on YouTube at some point. I was just like, yo, my buddy Hunter, we have this. It's $5. We're gonna mash. And we did for a couple hours.
Which Mortal Kombat was it?
This was MK9.
What was it about MK9 that even drew you to it in the first place?
I don't know.
Was it the violence?
Yeah, actually, now that you say it, probably. I remember I used to watch a lot of Rooster Teeth as a wee teenager, and before that, and when Mortal Kombat versus DC came out, that game's wild looking back on it. They did a video showing all the fatalities, and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Wow, look at all the violence. Let's purchase it.
Yeah, dude, it's $5. It's great.
That's a pretty good deal.
Perfect attention grabbing for a high school youth, such as yourself.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I was an edgy teenager. I remember playing, I think it was Mortal Kombat 2. I unfortunately played it on the SNES. I think that was the first time I ever played Mortal Kombat. And I definitely played it because it was just violent as hell.
Yeah.
I remember I had Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 for the Sega Genesis as a wee child, and that was a time. So
Oh,
I see
nice.
the appeal.
I played quite a bit of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. One of my previous jobs that I worked, we had a Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 arcade cabinet in the office.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's little rivalries going on and all that fun shit. Who the fuck did I main? What was his name? He had the blades. He was like a...
Cable?
Yeah,
Cabal?
yeah, Cabal. I picked Cabal because he had an attack. It was like back, forward, fierce, whatever the fuck the buttons are in Mortal Kombat. It was like a back, forward attack, and it was basically a DP. And I was like, all right, I found the motherfucker with the DP, and no one's gonna know how to deal with this shit. That got me pretty far until someone learned how to block it with the block button.
Did the arcade cabinet have that crazy X layout?
Yeah, I think it did.
Disgusting.
Koover, where did you start?
I guess it depends on what you want to go by start. For me,
Very beginning.
very beginning. Alright. Again, we had Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 for the Sega Genesis. I think I was like 9 or something. And I remember waking up on Saturday mornings and having to sneak past my sister's bedroom to get to the Sega Genesis, to the TV, before she would wake up so I could play it and not have her take it. She would wait for me to run past her door, open the door to block me, and then take it. So I would sneak past one day and then start running, and she would open the door, and I'm like, got it.
Oh my god. I'm just imagining you running towards the system and her opening the door and you slamming into the door.
Yes, that happened multiple times.
That
Awesome.
is the most Looney Tunes, like little kid siblings thing ever.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
It wasn't only just getting to the Sega Genesis, because we both played it, but we had a 3-button controller and a 6-button controller.
How the hell did the 3-button controller work in that?
I think you did A and B for a high punch and B and C for a low punch or something like that. 2 buttons to get the other normals.
That's some... Oh, you're player 2. Have this weird-ass Mad Cat shit.
Yep, exactly.
Man, that's a bummer.
I remember I liked 𝗵𝟽𝗏𝗏 a lot because he was an all-black ninja and he was really cool, and he had a projectile that when you shot it, it made the other person unable to block and hit you for like 3 seconds.
That's a very long time.
Yeah.
And that was the very first time you actually picked up like a me versus you sort of fighting game, huh?
Yep.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I put a note down here because I was pretty sure I'm torn between which of these was actually my first fighting game. I played Street Fighter 2 in an arcade a couple times, and I mained Vega or Claw, and all I did was I would do jump and heavy punch, whatever his air to ground was, and nobody knew how to anti-air because we were like single-digit ages. You know, what the fuck's an anti-air? And that got me really far. That caused a lot of salt. People were like, oh, you're so good at Street Fighter. I was like, yeah, that's true.
Take those.
We take those. The other game that I played a lot of was this really obscure fighting game for the PC called FX Fighter, and it had the tagline, the ultimate PC fighting game. And I went back recently and rewatched footage of it, and I'm pretty sure the game ran at a native 15 frames per second. It's hard to tell. I'd have to bring it up, but yeah.
Look at footage for this. Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it just ran like that, but I mained a robot character named 𝗫𝗵 or something like that. And that game was really fun. My buddy Pat and I used to play that all the time. Other than that, like now that you bring it up, like console fighters and playing against siblings and stuff, I'm almost certain my very first fighting game was Double Dragon 2, because that had a versus mode where you could like pick a Bobo and Jimmy Lee or whatever the fuck his brother's name was. And my brother, my real brother, and I would play the hell out of that. And man, that game was fun. And I think I've actually seen that game played at a fighting game tournament before on like some weird side tournament. Yeah, That was a weird one.
Sounds like a combo breaker kind of event.
Yeah, mystery game tournament. All right, everybody play Double Dragon 2.
And you know that there's some hidden god somewhere out in the Wild West that just never stopped playing it and knows how to do 12 infinites with 15 characters, including the 5 that aren't in the game.
Yeah, there's always that guy.
I mean, there's a community for Street Fighter the movie, the game.
I don't doubt it.
I believe everything.
I will believe everything you tell me. Well, shit. And as far as Mortal Kombat's concerned, I remember getting that for the Sega Game Gear. My grandmother, bless her heart, gave it to my brother, and then my parents were like, no, that's too violent for our children. We must take it back. We ended up figuring out how to get it anyways. I think we ended up playing Mortal Kombat on the SNES at our friend's house. I never had an SNES, but, you know, our friends always had the games we weren't allowed to have, so. Meanwhile, me, a very young PC gamer, was playing all sorts of games with questionable content that my parents just never knew about. Getting to download whatever I wanted because they didn't understand the internet, and I did before they did. That probably fucked me up for a while. One thing I wanted to bring up, has anybody ever noticed that 𝘃𝗏𝗏, like, this is very off topic and we're gonna get off this topic really quick, but has anyone ever noticed that 𝘃𝗏𝗏 actually looks like Crossroad?
Crossroad?
Yeah, if you break up the X and the RD, it's Crossroad.
Hold on, I gotta look this up now.
Well, it's an X. It's a cross, right? And how common of a theme in Guilty Gear is the cross?
Pretty common, I think, now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And how often does the term crossroad come up in any sort of religious text?
A lot.
That's a fairly common theme, isn't it?
Robert went to the crossroads, got down on his knees, handed his guitar to the devil. The devil said, once you receive this guitar back, your soul is mine.
I noticed that, like, not even a week ago, and I was like, holy shit, that's a clever title. That's far more clever than Third, X the Third. That's been on my mind for, like, a week now.
I just noticed something, too. So if the title of the game would be Guilty Gear Crossroads, and the first console release is Sign.
Yeah.
Like, play the gif of the man's head exploding where he's having a brain explosion.
Cue the GIF.
Yes.
There it is. And on that note, Strive. Strive has been delayed. Delaying the Strives. How do we feel about that? I, for one, am a bit for it. Anytime I hear a game is delayed, it always sounds like good news to me as long as it's not becoming vaporware. I really don't think that Guilty Gear is going to become vaporware anytime soon. I think they're on the right track here, and if anything's going to be delayed, I think it's a good thing. But yeah, I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, fellas.
I like it because in their announcement of it, they mentioned, I mean, one of the obvious things, coronavirus. You know, obviously they can't have people in office working from home. I guess a logistical nightmare for an entire company, Team Red.
Yeah, especially if they're not prepared for it. For someone who worked for a company that was actually built for work from home, there's a lot that goes into that and actually making it function. And if your office is not ready for that, you're not getting much done.
Yeah, and from what very little I hear, Japan was not like super prepared or taking like Corona seriously. But also they mentioned they're taking it from feedback too. From what I heard, a lot of people were saying on their feedback forums for the beta, like, hey, a delay wouldn't be the worst thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how true that is, who actually said that, you know, how many people said it. My sample size is pretty small, but if they're actually listening to people and actually delayed it for that reason, that's pretty cool, and I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they're putting more polish onto the game and listening to people, taking feedback. They put out multiple surveys already, you know, taking lots of player feedback. What do you like? What do you not like? And as far as the delay itself, I believe it was Shigeru Miyamoto who said that a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is bad forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great quote. I saw a funny tweet recently from the Option Select.
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah. Guilty Gear Strive delayed after devs remember they have to make character from the debut trailer.
My God. He hasn't shown up.
It makes sense. they're looking around the office and they're like, all right, we ready to ship this thing? Wait a minute. I think we told people we were going to put this fucking dude in here. Shit, get on it.
He's so cool. Where is he?
He is. They gotta add Wooly. They gotta add the Wooly character. I swear to God, that guy's gonna play like Leo. He looks like he's gonna play like Leo.
I'm ready for it, because if Leo doesn't get back, first stop on the road.
I'd love to see Leo come back, but just the patterns that I've been seeing so far, it really looks like they're going for the OGs from Missing Link first, which means we're probably gonna see Testament and Biken before anyone like Slayer or Zappa, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The 𝘃𝗏𝗏 characters, like, you know, anybody who wants 𝘆𝗶𝗀 or Bedman or any of those, I think it's gonna be a minute before any of those get in, just based on the patterns that have been laid before us.
Something tells me we'll get the Revelator treatment and get Johnny and Biken came later. I think that's what'll happen. Maybe for extra characters this time. if they're not in the game at launch, which would be great.
Well, I think Baiken's going to get in a little earlier than later. Baiken was a secret boss in Missing Link. Johnny, though, yeah, Johnny probably wouldn't be till later. Was Johnny in X? I actually don't remember. He wasn't introduced until X2, was he?
Yeah, I think X2 was when he first showed up.
You know, that's another early fighting game experience. Wing Dreams, Koover.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, I remember the Wing Dreams netcode being fairly good for delay.
I do too, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
I remember fighting against this one guy. He went by the name Brolag, which was very appropriate for his connection quality. He was an Anji player. He was very, very good considering the game played in slow motion whenever him and I fought. I can only imagine you just have to really kind of count the frames at that point if you're playing a charge character like Anji.
How many combos can you land in the YRC time?
If time is just constantly YRC'd, then your timing doesn't change much. You just have to spread out your thoughts a little bit. You just gotta chill out a little bit.
Delay-based netcode is a gameplay function.
It's a feature. Speaking of delay-based netcode, let's jump over and talk about Evo Online. Evo Online and the change of lineup. First of all, Smash got cut in favor of Them's Fighting Herds. That's kind of an interesting change of events.
Yeah,
I didn't see that one coming.
I'm seeing Them's Fighting Herds on streams all the time now. That game has just jumped in popularity.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it all over my Twitter, all over Twitch. I'm seeing like a bunch of people, like friends of mine who I've never known would ever play that game, just pick it up instantly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tempted. I see so many playing it, and the game looks high quality. It really does. If you can get past the whole brony aspect of the game, or the potential stigma that might come from, oh, they're now playing Them's Fighting Herds, you just gotta ignore it. Don't let the judgment get to you. I think it's worth trying. I might have to give it a shot personally, just to get the experience, because everyone seems to be enjoying it, and it does have good netcode from what I'm told.
It runs off the 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏 engine, right?
Yep.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yep.
That's interesting. That's not open source. What did they do? License it?
I believe so.
They must have licensed it. That's interesting. And yeah, it is fairly inexpensive right now. It's definitely worth checking out. But netcode seems to be the big selling point of any of these games that are showing up in this lineup. Everyone's caught the 𝗨𝗏𝗃𝗃 virus here.
I mean, we're all stuck inside with netplay.
We need to stop the epidemic at Mother Base.
Textbook symptoms of vocal cord parasite infestation. And judging from this casualty list, it is the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 strain, meaning a breed of parasite that triggers symptoms upon detecting pronunciation specific to 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃.
So how do we keep them from becoming symptomatic?
Use this, a type of 𝗨𝗏𝗃𝗃 introduced to a sample of the parasite. A parasitic bacteria that colonizes the parasites, turning male to female and preventing copulation. We must cultivate more.
Thanks to Code Talker, we've managed to put a stop to any new vocal cord parasite infections. Everyone who survived has been released from the quarantine platform. 𝘁𝗏𝗏𝗏 will pay for this.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, since it's online, are either of you entered into or planning on entering into the Evo Online?
Probably won't, but I will watch with earnest.
I think that's what I'm going to be doing too. Evo hasn't interested me much ever since they deprived people of basic necessities like water. I've been kind of reticent about my support for Evo, but I definitely want to see how they're going to handle this potential clusterfuck. I can only imagine, and I am not jealous of the TOs that are having to organize this shit. This sounds like an absolute fucking nightmare to me.
Oh yeah.
Do we know the actual scope of the Evo Online? Like, is it just North America, USA? Is it Canada or Mexico?
Not yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to do it. I feel like you'd have to do it regionally, even with good netcode.
I mean, they said open brackets are the aforementioned MK11, Fighting Herds, Skullgirls, and Killer Instinct, of course. They said those are open bracket, but they didn't say where. Now, I've played cross-country international connections from East Coast to UK to South America, even like to Japan once or twice. And the connections aren't bad, but running maybe thousands of those, that's going to be rough. We'll see what they do.
I have hit a bunch of my bullet points. If either of you have anything left that you'd like to touch on.
I kind of want to go back to first fighting game experiences.
Let's do it.
MK9 was my first fighting game, but MK10, which I bought 2 years later on September. I remember I bought it in my college dorm because it was, again, on sale for super cheap. It was $10. And that was the first fighting game where I ever actually tried to learn. That was the first one. I'd watched some footage of it previously, and I saw Aaron Black, and oh, he's really cool. He's a cool Wild West looking dude who uses an arm sword. Picked him, and I looked up a combo video, and I tried to do it, and it kicked my ass for like 10 hours, and I still couldn't get the basic one. and then didn't play the game again. That was like one of the first games I ever like really tried to learn.
I have MKX. I don't have MKXL, but I bought MKX. Somebody I used to work with conned me into buying it and then never played it again. It was that old gag. I played a little bit of Scorpion, and that was about it. But the 𝗨𝗪𝗃𝗃 system, coming from so much time spent playing Guilty Gear, and the sort of like, Guilty Gear often feels like a rhythm game. Or playing an instrument. Where 𝗨𝗪𝗃𝗃, like, you have to hit the same rhythm every time as soon as you confirm. And that was something I struggled with, so I'm curious how you felt about that.
I mean, I don't really remember how much I thought about it at the time, but after playing MK11 when it came out, coming from a lot of Guilty Gear and Under Night and Dragon Ball, more cancel-focused systems rather than strings. It's definitely different, but it's workable. It wasn't made any better by trying to learn a Aaron Black combo. It was outdated, and I didn't even know. I was playing a nerfed version of the character, and the video was from a year prior when he was not nerfed, so it didn't work. I wish I could have known.
That's a bitch. Going into it, you're like, oh, I want to do all this cool shit, and he's just not even allowed to do it anymore.
The string focus thing was interesting. MK10 was pretty cool, and I still think it's really cool. And have I booted it up since then? No, I haven't.
String and all that reminds me of another early fighting game experience of mine. One fighting game that I played the absolute shit out of was Dead or Alive 2. I mained Hayabusa, played quite a bit of Kasumi and Ayane. If there's any game that taught me to appreciate breeds, it's fucking DOA. Basically what you do in that game is, at least the early ones, I didn't play too many of the later ones. They got a little bloated for my taste as far as mechanics are concerned, but in the early ones, there was like a parry system. So it was, you had your guard button, and if you wanted to parry someone, you could hold back and you could tap the guard button at the same time, or you could hold down and back and tap the guard button at the same time, and you would do an animation. It had a whiff animation if they didn't do anything, but basically it was just a high-low guess. I played this against my friend, and we played this so much that if we ever had like a gathering of people would ask us to play against each other. What we would do is we would play without looking at the screen, because we would listen to the game. We kind of knew how the other one fought so well, and people would just watch us parry each other, and basically it looked like an actual fight while we played the game, and it was really just a whole lot of reads. But basically it's like mid-combo, you can throw these parries out and gain advantage on your opponent because it would give you a knockdown. It wasn't anything like KI or Guilty Gear where like you got the read and you could continue your combo. It pretty much just ended what they were doing. But holy shit, I remember playing sets against my buddy, and we played like 150 games. No shit, like 150 game set, and our set would end with like 75-75. It was always very close. So if there's any evidence that you can actually get in your opponent's head or really truly get to know your opponent, like that was evidence to me. For some reason, another weird fighting game came to mind that I played a lot of. It was an old DOS game. It's not even a fucking fighting game. I don't know what the hell it was. It was like half Tamagotchi, half build your own artificial intelligence sort of thing, but it was called Pyro Saurus. It's so hard to find, but it's just this weird top-down game where you basically design a dragon and then you pit it against other dragons. And I think there was a way you could have your dragon fight someone else's dragon. I don't think it had any sort of net play, but I did play a lot of that. My friend and I would design dragons and pit them against each other. That game was good times. That's some more weird, obscure PC gaming shit.
You got nothing but time right about now.
Yeah, and I guess I still gotta finish my Doom playthrough. I keep coming back to that. It's almost tedious at this point, but I gotta get through it. I set myself up for like all sorts of difficulties, and now I'm like, well, shit, why is this so hard?
Yeah, God, that game was so good.
Oh, did you beat it?
Yeah, a buddy of mine bought it for my birthday, and that was, God, that game's sick.
What difficulty did you play it on?
What's the second highest?
Wuss? I mean, ultra violence?
Yeah, I play Ultraviolence.
That one, yeah. No, that's a good one to play on, honestly, if you have any sort of sanity.
Yeah.
That's a good
Even
one.
that was, I won't say extremely hard, but the perfect amount of difficulty.
Yeah, my first playthrough of Doom 2016, I played through on Ultraviolence, because if you ever play through a classic Doom, Ultraviolence is definitely the way to go. That's like the way to play it.
I just finished playing Halo 2 like a couple days ago, and I always play on Heroic, because it says the way it's meant to be played.
Yeah. They say the default difficulty on Doom 2016 and Eternal is 𝗵𝗔, but I think that's for the console crowd. But that's okay. They can play on 𝗵𝗔. Now I'm over here struggling on Nightmare. We'll get through it, though. We'll get through it. Speaking of which, if anyone's interested, I've been working on a playthrough of that. I've got it on my YouTube channel if you're not already familiar. I'm gonna drop it in chat here. My mixtape here. I've been putting a lot of work into the edits on this. It's not your average Let's Play. I think y'all will enjoy it if you give it a chance. Any other bullet points we wanted to hit? Did we cover enough of the first fighting game experiences? Did we hit enough on the Evo Online, Strife Delayed? Man, I wish I could remember that other thing I was going to say, but you know what? That's probably just how things go. Maybe I'll have something more for the next time we do this. This has been ATention. Anybody who's watching, I appreciate you watching and spending some time with us this evening. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, Kojac. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, Koover. Hey, look at that. there's those sunglasses. Thanks for the sub there, Kojac. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, you rock, dude. But yeah, I want to do this on the regular. We're gonna change up the topic. Oh shit! There's more coming in. Thank you both. Truly blessed. Best guests. Maybe I should require guests to subscribe every time they come on the show. No, I'm just fucking around. I want to do this on the regular. We're going to change up the topics. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to edit this down, and it's going to end up on my YouTube, so keep an eye out for that. If you're unfamiliar, you can find my YouTube here. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the laughs. And yeah, y'all have a good one. Peace out. We did it. We're still live. We did it. I love you guys. Yeah. Yeah, we did it. All right. Yeah, y'all take it easy. All right, I'm going to stop the stream. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.